guys, thanks for clicking on my video. If this is your first time here, welcome to Nails by Naya. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a refill. She already has acrylic on her nails and all that. So the first thing I do is go in with my extra coarse drilling bit and I start falling off any polish that is on the nail. And then I realized that we wanted her nails shorter, so I'm going to go in and start clipping down her nails, because she didn't want them longer than what they already were, since her nails are going to grow out and, obviously become longer. So we started clipping off her nails. But if you obviously don't want your nails shorter, you don't clip the nails and you instead just go in and file off the existing polish that is already there. And then I'm going to go back in with my extra coarse drilling bit, and it's 4 things I'm going to be doing with that. I'm going to be falling off the top coat, because we don't need any top coat there before putting more acrylic on the nails. I'm going to be falling off the glitter polish she already has on her nails. I'm also going to be filing down the apex of her nail. The apex is the, how do I say, it's basically the hump on the nail that gives the nail structure, makes it strong and all that. I'm going to be filing down that hump because the apex is supposed to be in a certain spot. And because her nails have grown out, the apex has moved. So we got to file down the apex to reposition where it is on the nails, if that makes any sense. And then the 4th thing I'm going to be doing is filing around her cuticle to get any liftage that has possibly occurred. I think it was like 3 weeks since she had this set on, 4 or 3 weeks. So she had a little bit of liftage around her cuticle. So I just filed around her cuticle, making sure I get any of the lifted acrylic, because you don't want lifted acrylic still on the nail before adding more acrylic. And I'm sorry my bonnet is in the way. It has been a while since I recorded a video. So I just had to get back used to how this thing go. So yeah, that's all I'm doing. Going in with my extra coarse drilling bit, and I'm filing off anything that needs to be filed. And after I'm done with that, I take my cuticle pusher and I go and push back the cuticle. I do this because it helps expose the dead skin that is attached to the nail bed. And then when you go in with your filing bit, you're going to file off that dead skin. And once that dead skin is gone, it helps the acrylic adhere to the natural nail easier, if that makes any sense. Some people may choose to skip this step, but I would say do this because from my experience, it really helps. Like pushing back that cuticle to expose the dead skin actually does help the acrylic adhere to the nail. My younger sister didn't like getting her nails, not her nails, her cuticles pushed back, but her nails always lifted. Like her acrylic was always coming off way easier than all the other people who nails I was doing. So I figured it had something to do with the fact that she did not like her cuticles to get pushed back. So I started pushing her cuticles back despite her not really caring too much for it. She doesn't have a problem with it. I don't know what was wrong with her when she didn't want her cuticles pushed back, but she allows me to push her cuticles back now, and her acrylic actually stays on. Like, she doesn't pop them off that easily and all that. So I would say this is a step you should not skip. Now I'm going in with my 120 grit filing bit, and I'm filing the shine off of the natural nail. And the reason you're filing the natural nail is because your nail naturally secretes oils onto it. Those oils will make the acrylic have a hard time holding on to the nail, and your nails will pop off easily if you don't file your natural nail before applying acrylic onto it. So you're filing the shine off, and I would say what you're looking for is just like an ashy look. You don't want the nails to look like you just took oil and you swiped all over your nails. You don't want them to have a very prominent shine. Like, it's gonna have some type of reflection because you don't just file a nail and it gets so filed that it has no reflection of the light whatsoever. So I wouldn't say look at the reflection of the light, but look at how ashy the nail is getting. Like, I don't really know how to word it. Just make sure you don't overfile the nail because that would hurt whoever nails you're doing. Like, whether it's your nails or somebody else's nails, their fingers are gonna hurt after you place this acrylic and all that. So don't overfile the nails. Just don't let your paranoia get the best of you. Always look at, say, the hand you haven't filed yet or any of the nails you haven't filed yet, and compare a nail you filed to the one you haven't filed. How ashy is that filed nail compared to the one you haven't filed? Have you gotten that glossy look off? Like, that's what you're looking for. And I used to use a 180 grit filing bit, but I just stopped doing that because I don't know, it just it felt like it took longer to get the ashy look to me. I guess I was probably paranoid. Like, I used a 180 when I was a beginner because I didn't want to overfile anybody's nails. But now I use a 120 because I'm not afraid of overfiling anybody's nails. I know how to file a nail, like how to file a natural nail now. So I have no paranoia in that aspect. And once you're done with the filing, you go in with your nail dehydrator and your primer. You technically don't have to go in with a dehydrator because you quite literally just filed the oil off of the natural nail, so there is no hydration in the nail, if that makes any sense. But I go in with a dehydrator just because it gives me an extra, like, safety precaution that the nails are going to stay on. Like, I like to make sure that my nails are like dry. There's no hydration at all. I don't care if I just filed the oil off of the nail. I just need to, make sure it's actually dry and my acrylic is going to stay. And then you go in with your nail primer. So I use JC Beauty Concepts dehydrator, and I also use their primer. The dehydrator is a choice, but the primer is a must. You need to put primer onto the nail. I go in with 2 coats of primer just because, like, with the dehydrator, I just need to have my extra safety precaution that these nails are going to stay on. There's no really, like, rhyme or reason as to why I put 2 coats of nail primer onto the nail. Is just something I do. And I also forgot to mention this, but if you haven't realized, you only have to put the dehydrator and the nail primer onto the natural nail. Like, you don't have to put that on the acrylic or anything. Just put it on the natural nail. It'll save you product and it'll save you time. And after you're done prepping the nails, you go in with the acrylic. I'm using JC Beauty Concepts Monomer, JC Beauty Concepts Clear Acrylic, and the nude color I'm going to go in with is JC Beauty Concepts Cover Blush. So I'm really using that whole acrylic system. The nail brush that I have is the Long Hair Pretty Nails size 10 brush. And I'm only going in with like one bead of clear. As you see on the middle finger, I had went in with a smaller bead because I felt like, well, I could see that one side of the nail didn't have clear on it. And I'm just going as close to the cuticle as I can to put some clear there, because I like to put clear underneath any color acrylics I do, because if they want to change the color acrylic they have on their nails, you could just file off the color acrylic and get down to the clear coat that you had on before you added your color acrylic. Like, I would rather file down the color acrylic and do a redesign than soak off the nails and do an entire full set. So I'm just going in with decent, like I say, probably medium-sized beads of clear acrylic to cover the natural nail that is there now. And I don't know if y'all really paying attention, but like, yeah, right there, I'm wiping around the cuticle. Like, I'm wiping any acrylic that I feel is like kind of spilling. Like, you want to get that acrylic before it hardens, because trust me, filing acrylic off of skin, for one, is asking for bleeding, and for two, is not easy. Like, my beginner days were tough. It was not an easy task, and I would not recommend it to anybody. So try to make sure you get all that acrylic going before you continue with adding beads of acrylic and all that. And now I'm going in with the cover blush, and I'm really just like doing what I didn't like how big that bead was for the pinky, so I wiped it off. But I'm just going in like how I did with the clear. I'm getting as close to the cuticle as I can, while also just like adding acrylic on. And this is like the part where I'm so useless at explaining exactly what it is I'm doing. I just add acrylic until I get a thick enough nail. Like, I don't follow any acrylic system, not a system, but like how some people do like the 3 bead method or the 4 bead method. Like, I be wanting to do it, but it's just my mind never actually does it. So I'm just adding acrylic. I don't really know what to say because I can't explain it. Just make sure you like I said with the clear acrylic, make sure you wipe any of that acrylic that is getting onto the skin, because you do not want to have to file that off. And make sure you patting at the sides. Like, don't let the acrylic spill onto the side of the nails and make the nails become deformed, to say the least. Because if you have a shape that you want, you might as well pat the sides and keep your nail in that shape instead of letting that shape get distorted and all that because you let the acrylic leak onto the side. But yeah, that's really all I'm doing. I'm like just adding acrylic until I feel like I'm satisfied with the nail. I suck at explaining how to place acrylic and all that, so it's really just like a trial and error thing for me. Like, you're gonna get better at acrylic nails if you practice more and more. Like, you're not gonna all of a sudden have the skill to do acrylic nails. You have to practice. You have to develop the skill. Like, it don't always come naturally for some people. So it just keep trying until you get it how you want it. So after we're done with placing the acrylic, you go in with your filing. I start with my hand file before the e-file because I feel it's better to, shape the nail in the shape you want before going in and smoothing out the nail with the e-file. So with my hand file, I use a 100 180 grit, and I always use the 100 side because it's rougher and it's gonna file down the acrylic more and put less pressure on my wrist and all that. So the way I file my coffin, like you can see, I'm holding it at an angle. um you want to tilt it in more towards the tip because you're trying to make it go from wide to skinnier at the tip. So you of course, like, hold it at, I don't even know what angle that is, but you hold it at an angle. And I say, like, make sure the file is coming in contact with the entire side of the nail. That way you're filing the entire nail into that angle that you're holding your file at, if that makes any sense. And in a little while, you're gonna see that she take her hand back, and that's because she said I cut her with the hand file, so I had to go in and file my hand file with a different hand file. Like, it's literally you take one hand file and file the sides of the other. You see how the edges on this file look ashy now? That's because I filed it to where it wouldn't be sharp and it can't cut anyone. So then I go back in with my holding the file at an angle. And if you pay attention, you'll see I file the right side and the left side differently. Like, I hold my file different, and that's just how I find filing easier. Like, for me, that's the easier way for me to file. I can't speak for everybody, but I personally hold my file two different ways when I'm filing each side. You want to file each side, like, rotate. Don't stay on one side and then go to the other side to file. No, go back and forth between each sides, because sometimes if you file one side and then go to file the other, you may look at that nail and be like, oh, I don't like this at all, because you realize you filed in more on one side than the other. So always constantly go back and forth until you achieve the shape that you want. And it may take some work because filing is not easy. Filing takes some hard work and dedication because it works at your wrist. And filing, honestly, filing is what could bring the nail all together. Like, filing is what could make your nails go from looking like a beginner did it to looking like you've been doing nails for a decent amount of time. But yeah, that's really all I do. Like, I hold my file two different ways. I don't know how to explain how I'm holding the file. Like, y'all can see how I'm holding the file on the right side compared to the left side. I hold it at two different angles. And then when I'm filing the tip, I don't know if you guys have realized, but I hold my file in a vertical position and then just file up and down on the tip, like right there. I file like that because it gets you a straighter tip than going horizontally at the tip. But that's really all I do when it comes to the filing. Like I said before, I suck with explaining what it is I'm doing, so that's why I'm just letting you guys watch. And after you're done shaping the nail with the hand file, you'll get your e-files to smoothen out the acrylic and seal the acrylic around the cuticle. I would say if you had like a bump or a lump or a hump, whichever one you want to call it, in your acrylic, you should not go in with the e-file to get that out. You should go in with the hand file and file that bump down, and then go in with the e-file to smoothen out the acrylic. Like, the e-file takes out any scratches or any minor bumps that you had in your acrylic. It should not be there to take out a huge bump. Like, it won't really fall out that bump, and it'll just keep on falling out the entire like acrylic as a whole, and your bump would stay there while also, you know, thinning out the rest of the acrylic around it, if that makes any sense. I'll just say, is me personally, I find it easier to go and file out the hump instead of trying to file it out with the e-file. But you could also prevent that by smoothing out your acrylic when you're placing it. Like, don't let bumps get there. But I know that's hard when you're a beginner, so I'm just giving you tips on if you're a beginner and you get your little humps in. Okay, and when I file around the cuticle, my main focus is to like seal the acrylic around that cuticle, make it look smooth and natural. Like, that's what I like. I don't like bulky looking nails, so I make it not thin, because you don't want the acrylic to be able to just lift up off the cuticle. You want it thick enough, like a thick enough base, but also not too thick, if that makes any sense at all. Like, I think this comes to personal preference on how thick you want it around the cuticle. I try to make it look natural, like not like it's growing out of her hand, of course, because you'll be able to look at people's nails and tell if they have acrylic on, but make it look as natural as possible. Like, I just keep filing around a cuticle until I'm satisfied. And you know, you of course make sure you don't go too close to their cuticle, because you do not want to cut them, and you wouldn't have any reason to go that close to their cuticle if you don't have any acrylic on the cuticle or on the skin. So that's really all I do. I'm just going in and filing around a cuticle. And sometimes I file around a cuticle first. Sometimes I file the actual entire nail to smoothen it out first. It really all depends. I hold my e-file different way. Well, I file in different ways. I sometimes file up and down, or I file from left to right. That all depends too. And if you see the way I'm like holding the e-file is, I take my left hand, because I'm right-handed, so I take my left hand to hold whatever finger it is I'm filing, and then I place the pinky of my right hand onto like a part of my left hand to stabilize my right hand. If y'all get, like, if y'all see like what's happening in the video, I think that'll make sense. I hope that made sense. But those are just my tips on e-filing. Like, don't try to file a bump off with the e-file. Go in with the hand file first. Also put your e-file speed on whatever speed you feel comfortable. Like, if you don't want it to go fast, then don't make it go fast. Nobody's making you go fast. Like, go at your own speed, because that would prevent you from probably cutting yourself or somebody else, and it'll also prevent you from messing up the nail. So like, yeah, right here I'm going up and down, but on the other ones I was going left to right. So I really just do whatever I want with the e-file, honestly. Like, just keep filing however you want until you get the nail that you want. Like, and make it look smooth and natural. I personally don't like bulky nails, but if you like bulky nails, you can keep them bulky, I guess. And also, I think one way I determined that I sealed the acrylic around the cuticle is I could see a little itty bitty piece of the natural nail. You shouldn't see too much of the natural nail, because you don't want it to look like that person needs a refill, but you do see a little bit of the natural nail. That way you know, like, you have created the look of going smoothly from the cuticle to the apex. I hope that made sense for y'all, because I don't know what else to say. right. And when you finish with all your filing and all that, you ask them to go and wash their hands, or you get alcohol and wipe the dust off. And then you go in with whatever design it is you're doing, or whatever polish it is you're doing, all that. So this is my process of doing the French tip. And this right here is really just like, you watch it and you see, because like I'm not even gonna show you all 10 of the nails I did, because I was out of frame for some of them, and I was taking entirely too long on others. But right here, I drew a line on where I wanted the highest part of the French tip to be. Like, I drew a line down the middle of the nail, and then I just went from each side to create the French tip. And then I went in with the polish brush to actually, make the polish look opaque and all that, because with French tips you want to make the polish look as opaque as you could get it before putting it underneath the dryer, because not the dryer, the lamp, because it doing that second layer of this polish would make it look kind of honestly. But that was one way I did the French tip. And right now, the way I'm doing the French tip is I took the polish brush and I painted like the entire nail I wanted to paint. And I'm sorry that the camera is shaky. This was my first time recording with this setup, and I don't know how I'm feeling about it. And then I go in with a cleanup brush, and I go in with a cleanup brush that has alcohol on it, and I try to create the curve of the French tip like I want it. So let's see. And if that's not the type of curve you want, go in with the little fine liner brush and shape it up a little more. Like this this part was so difficult. Like, I feel like drawing all 10 of her French tips took me like probably an hour. Like, it was really some work, and y'all can't even see because my bonnet is in the way. But it's really like, those were the two methods I used: draw a line down the middle and then connect both sides to that line, or paint the entire nail and then go in with a cleanup brush and create the curve. And I really just go back and forth between it. Like, you can see I'm still trying to make that curve be more curvy, because it seemed like flat to me. It didn't seem like the U shape I actually wanted, and the U shape I had on her pinky and ring finger right now. But yeah, that's really all I did. Like, French tip, it just takes some learning and working, because that stuff is not easy. I do not do French tips often, and I do not like doing French tips often. And then another thing I found out was, instead of painting the entire tip of the nail, like, making it be straight across like how I did on that middle finger, I painted the nail and I tried to paint it in like the French tip shape, then go in and clean the rest of it up. So it's really just trial and error. Like, just keep on doing any type of method until you find the one that works for you. I still think I haven't found the one that works for me. Like, I obviously was able to get the French tip on all of her nails. It just took me like an hour plus some to do it. But I still don't know exactly which method it is I'll go for if I was to do her French tip again. Like, I'm lying. I think this the method I'll go for. Getting the polish brush and painting it in a French tip form, then going in with the cleanup brush and trying to get that U shape that I want, then going in with my fine detail brush and actually perfecting it. So it's like I do 3 different things. It takes a lot of work, but you get your classy French tip in the end. So is that really a problem? It's not really to me. And the polish I'm using is the Madam Glam Perfect White gel polish. Well, Madam Glam is all gel polish, so yeah, I'm using that gel polish. And like I said earlier, I only put 1 coat of the white, so the nails y'all gonna see in the end is just 1 coat. I didn't go over it with a different coat, because like I said, it's just not gonna look the same if you do something like that. Or to me, I just feel like I won't do it perfectly to where it look like it's still smooth and a nice transition and all that. we are almost at the end. I am going in with the top coat now, and I use the Gillette's top coat. I think that's how you pronounce that brand. I'm not really sure. I go in with one coat of the of this top coat, and then I cure it for 60 seconds. This top coat does leave a sticky layer, so you would see me go in and wipe the nails, and I'm just wiping it with a cotton pad that has alcohol on it, so you know, of course, to get the stickiness off. And the last thing I do is go in with some cuticle oil. Thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a like. If you have any comments, any questions, any tips, you can comment them all down below. And if you would like to keep up with the sets I do in the future, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you guys have a good morning, evening, or night.